welcome to LoveCast, the BL podcast reviews. I'm your host, Alexa, and with me today is my co-host, Pixie.
Hey.
So today we are doing a double feature review. We are going to be covering two 2022 Japanese BLs and Fashion Cupcake and Senpai This Can't Be Love. And we thought they kind of like went well together because they're both workplace BLs. They're both focusing more on kind of like adult relationships, and they're both short. So we thought it would be nice to kind of do them in one, and kind of we can compare them and do all that fun stuff. But yeah, I think we're going to get started with Old Fashioned Cupcake. Which was the shorter of the two at only 5 episodes, which really threw me off when I was watching it. I was convinced it was 6 episodes because usually it's an even number. And I was like, where is the 6th episode? I was like, I had to like Google, and like then I realized it was only 5 episodes. But I really liked it despite it being like so incredibly short. I was surprised by how into the relationship I got.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time building up the world around them, kind of building up their lives, explaining how they live, how work works, and how their relationship is like before the romantic feelings come out. So because that happens in the 4th episode, that's the confession.
Yeah.
So we have. And at the end of the 4th episode. So we have like 4 episodes just building up. But somehow it works.
It was a really good build up. I think they did a really good job of focusing on the emotions and like the micro expressions and things like that, where especially with Togawa, like we obviously knew pretty much from the beginning that he had a crush on Noze-san. But especially with Noze-san, like the changes in his expressions and the way he was thinking about things, like you could kind of see that change in him, especially over those like first 4 episodes leading up to that like really high tension moment where the confession happened. And I think that's like what really made it so compelling, is that like the emotional acting was so on point for both of the actors, I think.
And I really like how they focus on like doing what society would see as unconventional, like men going out for a dessert,
At a little dessert cafe together.
They're like
having
like
girl
Nasa
talk.
Nasa says he's too old for this. This is like not a manly thing to do, even though he really wants to do it. So it's kind of like Togawa is coaching him to become more acceptable for things that aren't accepted in society.
Yeah. And it kind of has layers to it too, because not only is he a man doing these things, but he's a man who's entering his like middle ages. He's about to turn 40, which is like middle aged. And so he's basically having like, he says like an existential like midlife crisis at about turning 40. And they call it like his anti-aging, which I thought was really cute. But I like the layers of it and like the conflict of his character. I just thought they did a really good job with it.
And I like that there is an age gap that can sort of, it makes sense for the story. And the most important thing here is for me is how they show the boss and employee relationship. Because they are really showing the struggles that come with it, like all the time, how both of them struggle with these things, especially Noze. Because that's what like ultimately almost like stops him from accepting Togawa's feelings. Their work relationship. And they end up not being boss
in different
employee.
departments. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
it ended that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was like watching it this past week, and like especially after the episode that we just did, talking about like power imbalances and relationships dynamics and stuff like that. I was like, I'm glad it kind of ended with them working in different departments, so that they could kind of pursue. And obviously he said it wasn't because of Togawa that he ended up moving departments, but I do think that like it helps the relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
The fact that they end up like in the end not being boss and
Yeah, but if
worker.
he had like throughout the story, you get the sense that he's been offered these kind of roles several times before and turned them down. So it's really Togawa's influence on him that makes him accept a role that's better and more responsibility. And
taking on like a leadership role.
Yeah.
I think overall, like, Togawa just helped him to be more proactive in his life, excuse me, and kind of move out of that routine of wake up, smoke a cigarette, go to work, smoke a cigarette, leave, smoke, like, you know, like all these things. And like you notice his habits starting to change, like he cuts back on smoking, and by the end, say from like when he was having his like emotional confliction about liking Togawa and stuff like that, he's pretty much quit smoking, and we see him stepping up into the leadership position in a different department and stuff like that. So yeah, I just thought he had like, Nose was just like had such a good character arc, both like in terms of his romantic feelings, but also the emphasis on his growth as a person and like coming into his sense of self at 40 years old and kind of how that looked for him. I just really liked him as a character a lot, I think.
And I have to say, I really liked the scene where like the first kiss happens and Togawa's confession. I love how they filmed it. Like the camera is going everywhere. It's shaky. It's like really, it gives you a sense of what's in Togawa's head for him to do this.
Yeah,
And-
I really like when camera work follows like the emotional intensity of a scene.
Yeah. And it was like really like an insane build up, and then the kiss happens and you just kind of get like this fluttery feeling in your stomach watching it. And that's what I really want from a show. Like when they can do that build up, it's not obvious that it's gonna happen, but then it does happen and you're kind of like, ooh.
Yeah. I felt like I kind of froze in that moment, like with the characters, because there's that tension of like, how is Nose gonna react? And then like Togawa launched into his whole monologue and he was like crying, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much. But yeah, it just, again, it comes back to me how the emotional acting from the two of them was like, I think that, and I really like the kind of common J-drama aesthetic of like the more melancholy like tones, and it's in the like the filters they use, and it kind of like the overall like melancholy feelings that a lot of J-dramas have. I really like that about them. I feel like we don't see that as much in some of the like youthful ones like Kei Hatsugoi and stuff like that. So I like that this was a more adult drama, and it and having that kind of like overall melancholy feeling with like Nose having his like midlife crisis and all of these feelings he was having. It felt like the melancholy art, what's the word I was looking for? Aesthetic that was like over the whole drama, just like felt like it really fit the mood of the show. And I just love that about J-dramas. I love that they can bring that feeling really well and work it all in together.
Yeah. I was gonna say something and then it completely slipped my mind, which is typical, and I can't get it back.
I really liked not only Togawa's confession scene, but then Nose's like confession scene back to him in episode 5. I thought that was really well done, and I thought that like whole last part of them like in the alleyways, you know, like hugging and flirting, and like when he's like, I'm almost 40, but I feel like I could almost kiss you anywhere, and I was like, ooh,
oh, that was
this
cheeky.
is like,
I'm just like, oh, spicy.
Okay.
I was just like, when Tagawa like walked away there, I was just like, I feel you, Tagawa.
So we can take a breather. We're all taking a breather right now. But yeah, it was nice because like, you know, I'm fine with like university dramas and the occasional high school drama because like even though I don't watch the high school ones as often anymore, but like it felt nice and it felt adult without like relying on sex to make it feel adult because you know like they mentioned sex, like they talked about it at different points, but like the way that they talked about it felt more adult than like forcing in sex scenes to make it adult, if that makes sense. Like it just felt naturally adult discussing sexual things, you know, and intimacy.
I like usually when you see on TV you see sex scenes and it's just like people throwing themselves at each other, and I'm just like, I'm 30. Yeah, we don't throw ourselves that much anymore. That like,
no one can throw anything.
Stuff that doesn't happen like that anymore. No, but like I like that it's really a focus on mental intimacy instead of sexual intimacy.
Yeah, and then like
although
because
there are a lot of sexual tension between them.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's what I like about it is because the tension felt natural and like they didn't need to actually be like engaging in, you know, sex. Even, you know, that's fine if that happens, and you know I love a good sex scene at times, but like it didn't need it. Like it felt adult and you felt that tension without it, and like those comments like I feel like I could kiss you anywhere, I was like that had more like sexual tension than like half of the sex scenes I've seen in a BL, like, you know. Can
I say that like this was what I forgot to earlier, I feel like this show is very realistic. For a BL, I feel like this could easily like be someone's actual story.
I agree with that. Yeah,
they do capture like obviously they're from Japan, so they capture the Japan working life really well, and I just all the societal hindrance is there. Like, it's very well done.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, just like the work culture and the dating culture and this idea of like the group dates that they were going on and like I'm over a certain age so I can't be like youthful and flirty in my romance, but I like versus this person's 10 years younger so they still have that excuse. Like, yeah, it just had a lot of realism in it and like a lot of issues that I feel like people can relate to. On like the less fantastical side of what is typically a very like fantastical genre, I think.
And I really love that they showed us a little bit about like their domesticated life afterwards, and I love that like the scene ends with him like Togawa being mad at him for being late. I just love that like they're like newly in love and everything, and they're like still arguing. And Noah is just like
it's like I'm here. I know.
I love their dynamic.
Yeah, I know like BL social media was like freaking out because they released, I guess they're doing like a DVD box set and it had like a clip that was like Nose feeding Togawa, who was like sitting up on his counter, and it was just like more of that like domestic bliss, and people were like freaking out about it. So I'm excited to see extended scenes.
I would watch if they just made a season 2 with them just having a domestic life with
all I ever want from a season 2 in a BL, and we never get
it. Drama or any antagonist. Like, just show us their everyday life. I will
like a true slice of life, like couple who's been dating for however many years, and just show what that would naturally be. I would love to see something like that.
And don't have like any romance drama. Just like make Togawa's job be at stake or something like that. Like, don't fuck with it.
Those kind of conflicts,
Leave that alone.
That's what I always want from season 2, but it's what we never get if there's a season 2. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think we should wait to rate them both at the end together, or do you want to give your rating for it now? So I definitely have different ratings for the two of them.
Yeah, I do too. Maybe we'll leave it to the end just
create suspense.
Create some suspense, yes.
Yes. All right, then let's
get
into
the next one about?
Senpai, This Can't Be Love, which was once again a workplace drama, but this one was focused in like CGI, like a design company that does like graphics for movies and stuff like that. And it's based around Kanata, who was a newbie worker, and Yanase, who is the person who's training him and turns out is also like his idol when it comes to like their work field, and he's always looked up to him and kind of had like a work crush on him that becomes a real crush. And it just like is about them like working together and Kanata getting acquainted with the company, and they have this big project to work on, and then their romance kind of blossoms within that.
Their romance is so filled with misunderstandings.
Yeah.
The whole plot of this show is misunderstandings.
You know, like, I feel like this one could have, like, where I was, like, surprised that Senpai, or Old Fashioned Cupcake was only 5 episodes. I was like, I feel like this one could have only been, like, 5 or 6 episodes. There was, like, 2 full episodes of, like, miscommunication and, like, you know, it's not my favorite thing, but I liked it. I thought it was a very different feel from Old Fashioned Cupcake. Like, they took a much more lighthearted and comedic route, I think. Especially with, like, Kanata, their inner monologues and stuff like that were, like, very goofy and kind of traditional, over-the-top J-drama inner monologue.
Yeah, while I was watching it, I kept thinking, oh, this feels like anime.
Yeah, they definitely went more for that, like, style of production. Yeah. A lot more of like the exaggerated acting and expressions, where I think Old Fashioned Cupcake was a lot more nuanced in those things. So they were definitely very different in that way, despite them both being like workplace romances. I did like, overall I did really like Senpai, This Can't Be Love. I thought the romance was cute enough. I wish that like we had seen more of Yanase developing feelings for Kanata, because I feel like he kissed him in the first episode, but then I was like, why? Like, I don't know. Like, you know, from what we've seen, like, he hadn't, first of all, it was only the first episode, but, like, we kind of knew that Kanata, like, was idolizing him and had this, like, childish crush on him kind of thing, but, like, with Yanase just, like, randomly kissing him when he was drunk, I was like, where did this come from? I feel like they didn't do the greatest job of, like, explaining how Yanase, like, developed feelings for him, for Kanata, and I think that was, like, one of my gripes that I had with it. It was definitely better, like, in the later episodes when he came back from Vancouver, and we saw more of his point of view of him, like, planning all these things he wanted to do together and trying to get his attention again, and more of his inner monologue, but, like, I feel like in the first couple episodes, I couldn't really understand, like, where his feelings came from.
Yeah, I mean, it does, like, it with his interactions with Benjamin, is that his name?
Yeah.
It shows that Yanase have probably been gay all along.
Yeah, definitely.
Since Benjamin picks up on it right away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but they don't explain it well. They just give him, like, a really casual attitude about skinship and relationships and stuff. And I think that it's how a Japanese person would see an American.
Yeah, they were trying to make him very, like, westernized. And he even said that, like, in his, like, thought process of how he's going to explain the kiss. Like, oh, I spent all this time in Canada, so, you know, skinship is much more casual over there. Kissing is something they just do as a greeting, which, not in America, in Canada, but okay.
I want to know where you've been going. Thank you very much. No,
but
it
yeah,
very much feels like a Japanese person thinks
was trying to like
that's
westernizze. Yeah.
the West is.
He was like, "This is what a Canadian would act like," and I was like, I mean, I'm not Canadian, but I don't think that's right."
But I do like that they are trying for something new, and, and they both the characters are very loving.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
are like very lovable. Like you can easily like. Oh, they
Yeah,
are
I wanted to
cute.
put
They have
Kanata
so
in my
many
pocket.
cute moments.
They
And
did
they
have a
have-
lot of cute moments, yeah.
Many cute moments together, but also separate moments that just made them lovable. So as a whole, they were well thought out characters with good personalities, faults, and everything that makes a character lovable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have to give the series cred for who they cast as Benjamin.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen someone foreign in a Japanese drama that actually talk proper English.
And spoke.
and Japanese.
And Japanese. Yeah, I feel like so many of the times in Asian dramas, like when they're casting a white person, mostly, typically, to play like a European or a foreigner or Western or whatever.
It's like a
literally
Russian
just like
or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like, and you know, to be fair, I know there are a lot of people from like all over Europe that are living in these countries, but then they like say they're like an American. I'm like, why don't you just say that they're like
they're from Russia,
from the country that they're
whatever.
from? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was the same thing, like that flashback of Yanase, I'm assuming in Canada, when he was like arguing with his
when
boss.
he's getting yelled at.
I was
by
like,
his
that
boss.
is not a that's a person with like obviously a very like European accent. So I was like, I get that the pool of like white people in Japan that they can cast from is probably very small. But it's
are
still
a lot of white people in Japan. There are. I just think that they there's like this thing in Japan about foreigners, outsiders, and a lot of Japanese companies don't like hiring Western people. So usually that's the reason, but obviously they hired Benjamin here, so I don't understand why they had that boss.
Honestly, he was like a genuinely good actor too, so
Yeah.
good for him. Good on him.
Yeah. I was really impressed. He did a great job.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, when you were talking about how like both of them had things that made them lovable, like even outside of the romance, I think probably my favorite scene in the whole series was when Kanata was like his coworker, Iguchi, I think was his name, was like, you know, feeling like he was gonna quit because he was like not like his supervisor was like really being really tough on him, and he felt like he wasn't keeping up with Kanata, and they were like having this conversation in the park, and Kanata basically like took the speech that he had gotten from Yanase about how he like wants them to love CG work and stuff like that, and turned it around on his coworker, but like tweaked it enough so that it fit his situation, and like you could tell that he was like genuinely talking to him from like a place of concern about like him wanting him to stay at the company and stuff like that, and like he pulled him back and like he went and apologized to his supervisor. But yeah, like I really like that scene of him just like looking out for his coworker and like taking like a lesson that he had learned from Yanase and like applying it to someone else within the company, and just like having like a genuine care for him. Like I just really appreciated that scene, and I thought that like really solidified Kanata as like a character that I really liked.
Yeah. Can I just say, like, they really missed out on putting in a girls' love couple.
Oh, with the two BL
easily
fans.
could have done that. Like, that, they had chemistry, dude. Like, that could have been great. But
yeah,
they just kept them in as two, like, Fujushi who were looking like,
I do appreciate
I'm just like, what is this? What's the point?
I do appreciate that they had this moment where the girl was like, oh, should we go and ask them to switch? Yeah, like we don't get involved. So it's like at least they tried to keep them like a step back from the like crazy Fujoshi line that like I really don't like, and that we see a
Yeah.
lot in like Thai BL. But yeah, I was like, oh, they could have been. The potential was there.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be lucky to see a little GL side couple in one of these Japanese dramas.
Oh, it would be
But
great.
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really like strong for the first 5 episodes, and then it was like those episodes when Yanase came back from Canada, and it was just like 2 episodes of like.
It was too much, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even keep up. I'm just like, I got really bored.
Yeah,
Because I'm
I
just
agree
like,
with that.
dude, we've been through this shit. We've
Yeah.
already been through this before you went to Canada.
Yeah.
it
It's like
worked
we had
out.
this whole like romantic
Why?
moment with the temple and the kiss.
Yeah.
And,
Going to Canada apparently restarts life.
oh yeah, because they made this like offhand comment about how like they decided not to keep in contact while they were in Canada. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I cannot stand it.
It gives me like flashbacks to We Best Love season
Yeah.
2. I'm just like, dude.
It's just
no.
like, why? Like when someone goes abroad, like especially in 2022, they do not fall off the face of the earth. Like there are so many ways you
FaceTime.
can
What the hell?
text and FaceTime and
they
even
work
look at them on
in
social
CGI.
media.
Obviously,
Yeah.
they know the computers. What the fuck?
It was just like such a weird, like, I don't know, because like he had like that whole noble speech about like, well, you wait for me and all this stuff, and I was like, well, you guys even after that decided that you were gonna spend the whole year you were apart not talking at all and just assume that things would be perfectly fine when you came back. Like, I don't know, I don't like that. I hate that trope of like one, like, I get it why he went away, like I don't care that they had to do the time jump or whatever, but it's like the miscommunication that always comes from like a time jump and like the way that they suddenly like completely disappear off the face of the planet for like a year or whatever the time they're gone. I was like, that's not realistic.
Yeah. I do like how that move made them, instead of having like a boss mentor relationship, they sort of are more on equal footings.
Yeah.
When he
Because
comes
Kanade
back.
kind of came into his own as like
and
part
they
of the
show
team.
that by like saying, oh, he finished the lizard thing without asking for his help. once.
the iguana. Yeah.
So I do like, I like that they are actually thinking about like these kinds of relationships and doing like a little bit of social commentary on it and just not leaving it.
Yeah, being socially aware of like the kind of relationship that I think is a good move on part of both dramas.
Yeah, but it was the pacing felt off. Like, as much as I like it and as much as I see potential in it, I do feel like they messed up the pacing.
Yeah. I definitely think too, especially like I watched them both this week, and I watched Old Fashioned Cupcake first, and so I feel like after watching that, which was so emotionally compelling, I feel like Senpai This Can't Be Love, not to say that it was flat, because the actors did a good job and I appreciated their characters and the way that they embodied them, but I just feel like the writing of the characters overall, like, I didn't get the same emotional connection to the characters that I did in Old Fashioned Cupcake. And so like watching them write one right after another, I feel like I was very much more aware of how much more invested I was in Old Fashioned Cupcake compared to Senpai This Can't Be Love. Yeah.
Ooh, I just looked up like the guy that plays Benjamin. He's an American singer, songwriter, talent, translator, and MC active in Japan.
Oh, wow.
He went there
That's pretty
first
cool.
For the first time when he was 15.
Good for him.
And he's 36 now. Nice casting, though.
Oh, I mean, he was great. Maybe Benjamin was the highlight of this drama. I don't know.
I mean, the casting in itself was great.
Yeah.
Like, the girls were great casts. The main roles were great. support roles were great. Like the only one was the boss that's yelling in broken English. That was kind of weird. But
Yeah.
other than that, like all the colleagues and everyone were really great, and they all had like their own quirks and like
Yeah.
you
I
could,
like the workplace dynamic in
Yeah.
Senpai This Can't Be Love a lot. I liked all their little team that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It like I said, it's just the pacing of the whole thing that fell off completely, and it could have been better.
Yeah, I just think those last like 2 or 3 episodes kind of just didn't hold up to like the feeling of the earlier, like, you know, they got to this point where they were both like very aware of their feelings for each other and had like this epic send-off moment, and then I feel like the episodes where after he came back just like didn't quite hold up to what an epic send-off and like that big romantic moment that they had.
I would love that if they just like had a reunion like he imagined and just spent the last 2 episodes just being domesticated.
Exactly. Is it too much to ask for some domesticity here?
Apparently.
This is always like, this is why I hate when dramas wait until the last episode for the couple to get together, because especially in this one, he literally said, "I like you," and then the drama ended. I was like, not even one little romantic, like, domestic moment. At least, like, in Old Fashioned Cupcake, we got, like, the after scene and, like, showed a little bit more of their domestic couple life. But, like, this was just, like, the end. He was like, "I like you." The end. And then it had, like, the shot of, like, his little list of 100 things he wanted to do instead of 10. And that was cute. But, like, show me the couple being cute.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay, any final thoughts before we give our ratings?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. So what is your rating for Old Fashioned Cupcake out of 5?
5.
5 out of 5. Okay. I would say 4.5. Just because I could have used like one episode of cute domestic bliss, but like everything else I loved about it.
I mean, we got all the cute domestic bliss before they became a couple.
But I wanted more. I wanted more. Give me more.
I get it. It's really short, but I think that they made the short episodes make sense. They used the time they had.
Yeah.
They didn't overuse any time. There was nothing like. It wasn't too short. It wasn't too long. It was just perfect for the story that's happening.
Yeah.
So I like, obviously I would want to see more, but I still feel like they wrapped it up so well that I can't really say anything negative about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I sort of liked another episode. So that's why I'm going to say 4.5.
It's fair.
Okay, and for Senpai, This Can't Be Love.
This is a little harder. I almost feel like I want to say 3.
Yeah.
But I'm going to bump it up to a 3.5.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say 3.5.
Just because of the casting is great.
Yeah.
Like, the casting is fantastic.
Yeah, I did really like them as characters. And like I said, it's just after that return from Vancouver, I just feel like they lost the pacing in the last couple episodes, and it just made it feel not as satisfying. Like those final 2 or 3 episodes just did not feel satisfying. Like I almost feel like they could have ended it with his big send off to Canada, and that would have felt more like romantic and satisfying than.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say 3.5. But I did like a lot of things about it. I just like fumbled the bag a little bit in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. So where can people watch it?
So both of them are on Viki, which is where I watch both of them. And I believe they're both on Gaga Ooh La La as well. Both, I would believe, require paid subscription. I know Gaga does, and I'm pretty sure on Viki they were both under the subscription required tier. But they are available in both places for international fans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a wrap on our JBL double feature. If you watched one or either of these dramas, let us know what you thought about them, either on Discord, on Patreon if you're watching on Patreon, or if you're watching this later when we release it on YouTube, let us know down in the comments. And let us know what you want to see us review next time. If you become one of our patrons, you do get the option to vote on our monthly reviews and decide what we're going to do next. So we have a couple of Patreon voted reviews on the roster that are coming soon. So if that's something you're interested in, consider joining our Patreon and voting for what we review next. But otherwise, that was it for this month's review, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.